How do you take sort of New Year's resolutions? Do you set resolutions or do you not really do anything like that?
But no, definitely not. Yeah, it's a date in the calendar. It doesn't really make a difference, I don't think. I think that's more of a, like, New Year's is like a pinnacle thing for people where it's like they feel very motivated to make a change because they're like, oh man, it's just something that highlights their lack of, what they've done, within the year and how they've not done certain things. So it's just quite motivating for people to want to shift. But I do think that, you should just have goals set regardless. And there shouldn't be a specific time. It should just be something you've been working towards before the new year. But I think, for some people it can work, but personally, it doesn't, like, nothing changed for me. I didn't get to 2024 and think, oh, I want to do this differently. I just was like, okay, I need to just keep doing what I'm doing and just do it better consistently for the whole year. It's kind of a different mindset, but yeah, that's how I think about it.
But do you not set resolutions or review? Is there any process that you go through at the end of a year?
To be completely honest, the only thing this year that I thought about was the environment and people I'm around, and how that's affecting my mindset, how that's affecting my energy. So I really took the time to think about, like, who am I spending time with? How is their energy affecting me? How is their value systems and their way of seeing the world? Is that like almost empowering me to be a better person, or is it taking away from me and actually pulling me down? So it's just analyzing, like, your interactions with people and really just who you want to build those relationships with. So I think that's super important, like your environment, the people you're around. As I say, your network is your net worth, or you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. So just prioritizing, just taking away things that's probably the main thing. Really, there's not much else I would say. Just that. That's the main thing I'd say.
Yeah. No, me personally, the new year, as much as I try and just stay away from all the riffraff that comes along with when the new year comes around, and there is a lot of it. You got Christmas, you got this, you got that, and everybody's trying to pull you to different places. I do think there is some value in assessing mainly what happened last year, what went well, what didn't go well, and then going into the new year with an idea as to what you want to do differently going into the new year, and reviewing your goals. And you'll be surprised, and I was surprised this year, as to how much you change year to year. So a lot of the things that I was going for in 2023, I look back on it now, I'm like, fucking hell, like, that's not what I want at all. I want things completely differently as I mature, as I get older. The wants and needs for my life are completely different to what they were maybe a few years ago. So I think in that respect, it's good to self-review. But to go in with this sort of steam of, oh yeah, new year, new me, like, that shit just burns out. And it's about having a longer vision for your life, that you said, regardless of the calendar and stuff like that. You've actually sat down and you've determined, okay, this is what I want to do and go for. And regardless of what day of the year it is and what year it is, you're just going in that direction. But it's good to take time, stop, review, see if you're still on course, see if it's still the destination you want to go to as well, and then start the year.
I think balance is super important. Like, you can't just, like, people recognize that they've been slacking or they're behind in a certain aspect of their life. So they create these unrealistic, collapsed short-term, oh, okay, I'm going to do this in a week, I'm going to make all this happen. But it creates, it's like an elastic band. It's like you're pulling and it just pulls you straight back to where you were. So having that kind of balance where you're moving towards that goal, but at a pace that actually is, like, realistic is kind of the thing that I think people do wrong, that they set unrealistic expectations that make, because when you set a goal that's, you kind of subconsciously know it's out of your reach, it makes you feel, you lose enthusiasm. You start feeling this pressure, you start feeling self-doubt, you start kind of beating yourself up because you kind of know you're not going to hit that goal. And that can sometimes be, you have to really ask yourself, like, is that even your goal? Sometimes that's a goal that's projected, or you're looking at someone else's journey and they're ahead of you. So you're like, man, I need to catch up. But all that does is create, well, from the book Reality Transurfing, it's called excess potential. It's like this excess thing that basically is always going to end up being balanced out at some point. So the key is to just find what your goal is and what's tangible for you, and it's like a car driving on a road at night. You can't see, there's a road that's leading somewhere, right? You can't see all the way to the end of the road, but you can see the headlights and just what's in front of you. That's all you need to see. As long as you can see that and you follow that path, you eventually get to where you're trying to go. So yeah, it's just finding that goal, setting that goal that's right for you. Because when you set a goal that you actually believe you can achieve, that's actually tangible, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing, then you actually feel positive emotions, because when you start seeing that progress, you feel enthusiastic, you're almost lit up, you're even more motivated to hit that goal because, it's realistic, but it's also it's like David Data leaning into your edge, you're just slightly in your edge. And I think that's where the biggest catalyst of growth happens. But again, you have to realize that everyone's on their own individual journey. So it's like the mistake you can make is looking at other people. And I've done this myself. It's crazy how much it can mess you up. Just be like, man, this guy's so far ahead. But it's like, this guy's have a completely different life to you, completely different life experience. You just need to do what's right for you. It's almost like when you run the relay, it has like a bend and there's almost an illusion that someone's running in front of you, but actually you're all actually pretty much on the same lines. So if you believe that these people in front of you, for better or for worse, but what you have to realize is just because right now someone may appear to be ahead of you in some way, it doesn't mean they are. So yeah, that's what I'd say to that.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that analogy of the relay, to be fair. That's a good visual. My take on that kind of thing, just very similar to what you're saying. I like to think of life as a marathon, not a sprint, but not in a conventional sense where people say, oh, well, that means I could be lazy, take my foot off the gas and do this. I'm talking about a professional marathon. Like professional marathon runners sprint when they're doing a marathon, but they have the idea and the understanding that it's a 42-kilometer race or a 26-mile race. They know how long the race is and they pace themselves, but they're still going at a fast pace. So if you live your life like that, I think that's a good way to be. You have the ability to delay gratification and know that you need to pace yourself and go at a steady pace to get to the finish line. But at the same time, you're still going at a fast pace. You're not going slow because you're going to lose a marathon. People are running marathons, 26 miles in 2 hours. That's not a slow pace. That's extremely fast. However, they are pacing themselves throughout the marathon. They're not doing a Usain Bolt, blowing the load in the first 10 seconds, right? So that's the way I like to think about things myself. But I wanted to ask you mentioned something earlier about environment. So why do you think environment is so important and what has sort of made you come to that realization?
I think, firstly, it takes a lot of self-awareness to be aware of like how certain things and people are influencing you. But it's mainly like kind of just when you set a goal, you want everything you think, every thought, word, and deed needs to be in alignment with the version of yourself that is going to attain that goal. And I think that includes, the people you're around. So if you're around people that, especially like when it comes to financially, like people that think very small-minded in terms of money, they think in poverty, they have a poverty mentality. If you start sharing your goals, I want to make this much a month, I want to do this, their reality, that's not possible. So they're going to project their limitations onto you without realizing it's unconscious. But with it, and the thing is, in some cases, your belief system isn't built up strong enough to the point where that doesn't affect you. So that actually does have a negative impact, especially when you're in the process of trying to build, trying to get to where you're trying to go. So, and even in the book Think and Grow Rich and other books like that, this is mentioned where it's like, you don't want to, people's negative inputs, whether it be subconscious, it's almost on a subconscious level, hold you back. So being around people, I find that, and you might sense that like the main thing for me is like a business sort of mindset at the moment. It's like being around guys that are doing certain figures, making a certain amount of money. If I say I make 5K a month, that's like normal to them. That's nothing, So that is setting a new standard that's way higher. And that's, as men, we're competitive creatures, but we're just going to naturally elevate to that. So it's just about making sure you're it's like small fish in a big pond. You don't want to be the big fish in a small pond. Like you always want to be putting yourself in a room where you don't know crap. Like when you're speaking, you're not learning. When you're taking in information, you're the one that's learning. So that's why environment's super key. And naturally we just mirror we mirror the people we live around. And look at anyone. Like when you don't get a kid that's born in China speaking in an American accent, you pick up your environment. It's just the way the world works. So you can use that as leverage to get an advantage in life.
Yeah.
And that's why coaching is so important too. That's why having a mentor, someone who's done the thing you're trying to do, they can make all that information compact and give it to you, which is going to save you, what took them a year or 2 years or 3 years or even 10 years, they can give that to you in 6 months, and that's what makes having a mentor or coach super important. So yeah, that'd be my answer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Listen, man, this guy's speaking some knowledge right now. If you guys ain't taking this in, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but